Coach Belichick, good morning. Mookie Hawkins, 1 Sports 1080. How you doing today, sir?
Good, Mookie. How's it going?
I'm great. Now, you come from a coaching family, a great coaching family, and but you come under guys like Ted Matrabota, Rick Forzano, Tommy Hudspeth, Red Miller, Ray Perkins, and obviously, Bill Parcells. How have learning under these coaches helped mold you into the coach that you are today?
Oh, tremendously. Yeah, it's been a tremendous experience. I learned a lot from all of them, and they're all different, and I had different assignments under some of those different coaches, so that was unique as well. But I feel like I got a great start with Coach Marchabroda and Coach Rosano, Coach Hudspeth. Those first 3 years, that was really key to building a lot of my foundational knowledge in the NFL and work ethic and just special teams, offense, defense. After 3 years, I'd coached on both sides of the ball, coached in the kicking game in all 3 years, and been able to work with the tight ends and receivers at Detroit. So, and then of course, Coach Parcells, was with him for whatever it was, 15, 16 years, and learned a lot from him. And of course, Coach Collier in Denver on the 3-4 defense, but then with Coach Parcells, our 3-4 defense in New York was different than the Denver defense, and it was interesting for me to see both of those put together, the way that they complemented each other, and then being able to work under Coach Perkins and coach special teams for Ray was a great experience. It was 4 of the best years of my life was working for him, and then Bill. So yeah, I learned a lot from all of them. A lot of time with Bill, so probably the most from him. But then I knew the least under the first 3 coaches, so it was a lot to learn there too. But Bill took me to another level in terms of going from a coordinator to a head coach and understanding some of the other things that go with being a coach, with being a head coach, with those injuries and contracts and some league rules and things like that, trades, and just things that a head coach does that a lot of times an assistant coach doesn't do. But Bill involved me in a lot of those and the draft process, and those were great learning experiences for me as well. So I've been very lucky.
Absolutely, Coach. Good luck this week, and Merry Christmas to you.
Thanks. Merry Christmas to you, Mookie. Thank you.
What do you think is the reason why it's tough for teams to have continuity to find good offensive linemen these days? I feel like back in 10, 20 years ago, every team had their line was always their foundation. What do you think is the cause of that today?
Not enough of them.
Can't find enough of them? Is it the college training?
Yeah, well, again, I think it's a trickle-down effect. Look, the colleges are looking for them too. There's only so many big kids out there. There's a lot more kids that are 195 pounds than there are 295 pounds, so that's just the way of the world. But in college, you had back in when I came to the NFL, let's put it that way, most kids stayed in college 5 years, especially the offensive linemen. They redshirted. They played 4 years of college football. Their fundamentals improved, their strength improved, their technique improved, and that's a big part of what those guys do. Some offensive linemen are very, very good players. They're just average athletes, but they're very good technically. They have great balance and fundamentals, and that's a lot more important than 40 time or other stuff.
We've asked you, feels like many times over the years, about their 2 safeties, Poyer and Hyde. And you've mentioned how well they disguise. I'm curious, I think when we hear about that, we think about it from sort of the quarterback's perspective. But how impactful at all is their ability to disguise on maybe a receiver's decision-making or a pass catcher's decision-making in the middle of the play? Is that part of what makes them difficult to deal with as well, or is it primarily a quarterback issue?
Well, I'd say honestly, primarily it's an offensive line issue, but it depends on what the play is, and it could affect a lot of different people depending on if the receivers are blocking them in the run force, it'd be their problem. If it's blitz pickup, it's a back and quarterback problem. If they're involved in the rush, then that affects other things on the line of scrimmage. I mean, they just don't, run into the back of a defensive lineman. So wherever they rushed, and the linemen rush in a complementary way to that. So, they do a good job of making it look like one guy's coming and then the other guy comes, or make it look like one guy's coming and then nobody comes, or make it look like nobody's coming and then, one of them rolls down there and comes, and then the other guy slides to, the complementary position on the defense. And so it's hard to, sometimes it's hard to tell until after the ball's snapped what they're actually doing, because they do a good job with false indicators and false alignments, and then they move to things late, or sometimes they just line up in it and you're waiting for them to move and they don't move, and then they do what they do from that position. So again, their experience, they do a good job. They have a good sense of timing and the quarterback's cadence and the 40-second clock and the motion and formations that are involved, and when they put all that together, they do a nice job. And there's good level of communication and adjustments with the linebackers as well. And Milano and Evans have played together now for several years with the safeties, and so a lot of times they have to bump over, change gaps, adjust their gaps based on the formation change, and they get to those pretty quickly, and the offense has to re-recognize who's where and who's who, and so yeah, it's a very well coordinated defense, and they they execute it well, and they disguise it well.
Thanks a lot, Bill. Thanks for your time today.
Yeah, you're welcome, Phil.
Thanks, everyone.